I gotta. Hi, my name is Jane Pierce, and I'm here to talk to you about a simple tarot spread. Let me share my screen and we'll get started looking at the 5 element or project spread. So the 5 element or project spread is a simple spread. Obviously, it's going to have 5 cards in it, and each of them are going to talk about a different element. So I lay the cards out starting with the first card, number 1 on the right-hand side, 2 on the bottom, 3 on the left-hand side, 4 above it, and 5 in the center. You'll notice that the ideas, actions, emotions, practicality, and spirituality are all going to have some connections to where they're located and to the suits that are ideally placed there. We'll talk about that more after we do a couple practice sessions. So here we go. When do you use the 5 element spread? I use it on projects, hence the name. I use it when I look at a passion project, when to go house hunting, what skills do I need to finish my book? Because all of those questions will be answered as we look at the 5 elements in the project. You can do it as something as simple as the Halloween party or something as complex as your business in a community. I will say that when it's just your project, it is all your feelings. And when you're talking about a community project or Halloween party, you may be referring to the emotions, the thoughts, the practical aspects of people other than just yourself. And how that will work out will depend on how many people are involved and who you're talking about in the project. I would assume that if you're talking about you and your dog, then maybe the ideas are yours and the emotions are both of yours. So here's that layout again. We're going to start with number 1, thoughts, ideas that started the project. These ideas will continue through the whole thing, but it has a little bit of an element about what came first. The action, what moved the project along, the emotions around the project. This is usually going to happen a little bit after things have gotten started. The practical and physical aspects as the project comes to fruition, and the spiritual or karmic elements of the project. It also has some energy of the conclusion or a summary of all of the parts. So here we go. If you get the Ace of Swords as your first card, that's fantastic. Aces are a great place for beginnings, and the Swords is saying that you've got clear, maybe a little basic, but strong ideas about where you're going. Next, the action or passion moving the project forward is the 4 of Wands. 4 of Wands is the luckiest card in the deck. Any place you get the 4 of Wands is great. It takes that action and passion of the Wands and mixes it with the 4 that represents Jupiter. So we've got lucky action and celebratory energy about putting this in motion. So whatever project this is referring to, not only do we have a clear basic start and maybe a good outline, we have also a feeling of lucky and celebratory, like, aren't I lucky I get to do this? Like, I had a clear outline for this class and I feel lucky to be here talking to you today. Next one is the 6 of Cups. The 6 of Cups is often referred to as the nostalgia card or the second honeymoon. It's a return of love, and it has feelings that you've had before. So in this case, I may be experiencing the feelings, and you may be experiencing the feelings of the first time you took a class from me, or I'm remembering how it was when I taught this class in person before COVID. So 6 of Cups is going to have not just good emotions, but a returning emotions. This card, you might want to be a little careful. Be sure your emotions are current. They certainly are coming from before, but it can feel like you did before, and that can be great or scary. So just watch, making sure your feelings are current. Next card is the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles in the 4th position speaks about mastery, of financial stability. The kings all have a little bit of solitariness with them, as imagine Bill Gates sitting alone doing his work. It contains mastery, but it's not a great community card. It says that I've got to record this and everyone's got to be quiet. I want to be home alone when I'm doing the work. And that's great. It doesn't mean you stay alone. And the outcome is strength. The strength card is one of the major arcana. It's the 8th card, and it has some energy of charm or cunning, because of course that Beauty and the Beast that we see, the angel and the lion that are portrayed on this card, Beauty's not beating the beast. She's charming him, perhaps with music, perhaps there's a cunning involved in tricking the beast. But either way, the outcome is positive and a little bit using your wit instead of your brawn. It's a triumph of mind over matter. So there we've run through a 5-card spread with these cards. You'll notice that I've placed a sword, which is basically a card that speaks of ideas, although it also includes cutting and balance and clear logic practicalness, is in the spot of ideas. It's ideal to have a sword as the first card in the East for ideas. It is ideal to have a wand in the action in the South for the passion and the heat of your project. Again, having the cup is fantastic to have in the West. This is about our emotions and our feelings, and also has something that comes as the project is developing. We've already started acting on it. So the reaction of our emotions to the movement forward is a good and flowing way to have it. The 4th card as a pentacle is a practical, stable outcome, as in what's the mundane reaction to what this project will be. Is all of these actions and feelings and ideas coming to fruition. And finally, the spiritual or karmic component is represented best by a major. This is the outcome, but it's also the sum or the gestalt, a summary of all of the parts of this project brought together. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to lay out that way for you. So let's go looking at this exact same spread with cards we've already discussed their meanings about. What happens if we mix these cards up, and how would we interpret it as each of the elements are in a different location? So here we go. What happens if we start with the 6 of Cups? Well, that would tell me that your idea is something you're reviving. It may be a process that you're using to address a past issue. I felt so frustrated that people couldn't come to this class that I decided to re-record it in a better and more direct way. The practical part of it, the King of Pentacles means that I'm going to probably move slow. Again, there's that solitary element in action, which makes sense. I've got to be alone to do my best job of recording and having a sound and visual quality I want. But there's also a slow and steady. That card's reminding me to talk a little slower. Don't rush this. It'll take as long as it takes. The 4 of Wands as the lucky card tells me that emotionally there's this feeling of privilege and excitement. How glad I am, how lucky I feel to get to do this work with you today. And finally, in the 4th position, or not finally, but in the 4th position, we have strength. That means that the practical part of this is going to involve some charm or some cunning, some cut and paste, and let's record this video over again. It's certainly been part of this, as this is not the first take. And then the outcome with the Ace of Swords. So to have an ace in the outcome or 5th spot means that it's leading to a new beginning, a new opportunity for me to be sharing these re-recorded videos in a smaller, shorter format so that you can take a class and then come and join me for 90 minutes of live question and answer instead of just focusing on the learning material. So Ace of Swords means it's an intellectual, logical, or new beginning for thoughts and words. It's not a bad card to have there, especially as we still have all 5 suits represented, even if they're not in their most ideal spot. So now, what next? Let's look at another reading. This one we're going to go ahead and look at all together instead of one card at a time. In this reading, we start with the 7 of Pentacles. You'll notice that none of these cards are in their exact order. This would imply that the ideas about this are long and slow developing. The pentacles all have a slow, steady aspect. And so this is the energy of a card that we have planted and are watching grow, preparing to reap the benefits, preparing to harvest what we've planted. But the ideas are still in the planting stage, and they're going to require some patience to come to fruition. The actions around this are having to be measured. Justice is fair, it's deliberate. It's telling me not to rush and not to hurry again, but also it's telling me that this is a balanced and appropriate way, that there's a karmic element to doing this work, that there's a spiritual or divine calling to more justice, to more measured work that I need to do. The third card, the Four of Pentacles, says, oh, I'm feeling a little nervous. The fours are all cards where we're kind of holding on. Now that's holding on in a less positive way in the Four of Pentacles than it is in the Four of Wands. Jupiter is an expansive and it rules four. So the Four of Wands says, hey, this is the luckiest card in the world. And the Four of Pentacles says, oh, we're holding on tight when maybe it's time to relax and let flow. So I'm holding on to some old feelings. I'm going to have to look at what I need to let go of. And probably in this case, it's the idea that I can do it perfect, because certainly misers and that greedy energy has a part of us that wants to achieve, wants ambition, and wants perfect. So that Four of Pentacles for me says, here's a place where I need to watch my emotions, that I don't get into greed. The Hermit in the physical activities reminds me that I've got to keep it quiet. I'm doing this work alone. It says that following this path is important. The Hermit walks to his own drum. Think of King Lear wandering in the desert, or Moses wandering in the desert. It is a spiritual journey in which we remove ourselves from other people so that we can shine our own light and discover what works best for us. Page of Wands coming out as an outcome is really good for this layout. If I'm talking about this project where I'm working to communicate with people, then the page is an ideal outcome card, because the page is always a messenger. And Wands says this is a passion project, something I have a great excitement and energy for. So the Page of Wands is a wonderful outcome when I'm looking at what's going on here. If you were trying to do some work that wasn't about communication or wasn't about passion and energy, the Page of Wands may not be the ideal outcome. However, I would say that with two major arcana in the reading, there is enough spiritual power, there's enough karma or destiny or divine intervention that this project is going to work out, and that you're doing the right thing, walking this path, making this video, even if the outcome may not be as triumphant as you want. Because of course, a king or a queen would be a fantastic outcome, or a 10 where you really get this culmination. But this is a good go. This is a great messenger, and maybe there'll be more. Maybe this will be laying the groundwork for finding a great editor and improving some of the quality of what I'm doing. So there we are with a quick summary of another reading. Let me invite you to think about, what would you like to have a reading on? You might notice in the background that I've got another reading laid out. This reading is for you. So take a minute and pause. Think of a project. Think of a work that you are doing that you want some feedback on. And I'm going to do this reading for you. If you think that this applies differently to your project than the way I described, I'm going to say always go with what you think first, because your intuition, your gut is the best place to start. So here we go. I've got to lay 4 cards in a circle, 1 in the center. While ideally we would have swords, wands, cups, pentacles, and a major in the center, if we don't, let's look at what that tension between the ideal and the reality is, because life is rarely exactly what we want. So here we go. Do you have your idea, your project clearly in mind? Remember, if this project is just yours, then this is your feelings. If this project involves other people, then it's group feelings. So you may find thoughts or actions that are bigger than just your own. And here we go. Well, what I've got right here is an invitation to do it a little differently. So I'm going to fix that and go back one. Hey, I was able to do it this time. Yay. All right. Here's that reading I've got laid out behind me, and it's for your project. Your thoughts and ideas about this are the Emperor, and that means that they're divinely or karmically inspired, but the Emperor holds this energy of the four of Jupiter wanting to rule, of the energy of slow, steady bureaucratic process. So this is probably part of a larger undertaking for you, part of an undertaking that says, I want to make an empire and I want to rule this empire. So look at this as a start of a bigger project, and that this one piece is really important, but it is not all of the work you're doing. Second, action or the passion moving forward. The Three of Pentacles says you're doing this work because you made a commitment, and that maybe you're scared and nervous. So having deadlines or people you're delivering material to is critical to keeping your project moving. The action needs a contract. The action needs a deadline. It needs a promise. It needs a goal to achieve too. Number three, the emotion or the intuition around it is the Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles is slow and steady. This might not be super exciting right now as reflecting of that part that is a bigger project that you're undertaking, a bigger empire you're looking to conquer. But the slow, steady emotional effort, the regular work is what's going to do it. This is progress in two different areas, both the actions and the emotions that we're looking at being pentacles. So slow, steady, could be boring, got to be regular. The practical part of this is the Empress. Here we are back to a major arcana. This is a card that speaks of creating something. And certainly the process of being a mother or bringing a project to birth can often be that physical creation. Pentacles work well with the Empress, and she is, if any major arcana has a pentacle energy, certainly the Emperor or the Empress. So these two cards are supporting the physical creation, the financial stability, the physical health, and basic work that you're wanting to do. And the karmic and spiritual outcome is the Three of Cups. That's fantastic. It says by doing this work, the slow, steady, regular work, you'll be building a community, that it will, as you do the work, build into being something that you share with 3 or more people. It also has this implication that there's a celebration, that there's an emotional relief to being completed, that you may not feel as emotionally positive about this work while you're doing it. You got your head down, you're doing your work, but when it's done, there will be a sense of accomplishment and celebration, which is certainly how I'm feeling as we come to the end of this video. I'm going to challenge you to do this project, this 5 elements tarot spread for yourself. But here's another way to build your skills. Think about, in your project, as this reading was for whatever you picked, what would a perfect outcome card would be? Is there an emotion card that would fit better? It's completely fine to look at what is and then to change the reading by picking a different card to symbolize your emotional energy or your outcome. I'm going to pull out another reading from one we've done before, and this time there won't be an outcome card. That'll be up to you to pull. So think of another thing, another project you'd like a reading on. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to talk about the 4 elements, and then the outcome card is yours to pull or to choose to see what that card reading that your project is referring to is going to bring for you. So here we go. These are a lot of these cards you've seen before. Your idea is a new idea, or is not a new idea. It's an old one that's coming back. It may be brought by feelings that you've had before that you want to resolve or bring forward in a new way. So look at an old feeling getting you this idea back again, like, I'm not going back there. I want to change how I feel. I don't want to repeat this emotional cycle. The actions on it are cunning. They are not straightforward, but instead crazy like a fox. There may be inspiration or cunning or a less than direct approach you're doing where you're charming your way into getting the work done. Think of Tom Sawyer painting the fence and charming others to do the work with him. The emotion card is the Lovers is fantastic. That says that you've got a balanced emotional side where you're looking at a gift from the divine because it's a major arcana that brings you a sense of love. If this question has been asked about a relationship, especially one that's coming back, wow, are the feelings powerful. But remember, these feelings about having a lover, that perfect balanced partner, they're not the outcome. They're just the emotional component. The outcome says it's moving a little bit slower. That's going to require stability, practicality, and a little bit of isolation. This says if you are talking about a relationship, doing your own inner work or making sure your finances are in order for your part is a critical component to working with others. And the outcome card is blank. What do you think would be the perfect outcome card? What would be a disastrous outcome card? Now shake your deck up, shuffle, cut, and pull an outcome card for yourself so that this reading and where you go with it is all up to you. If you've got questions about this, please reach out to me on Patreon or in the Slack group that members of my Patreon are part of. I'd love to see a picture of your spread that you've done. I'd love to hear an answer to this question. What card did you get for a spiritual and central card of your reading? If you are buying this class for the first time, please know I have a Patreon, and these classes come complimentary to the women in the Empress level of my tarot group, and a free practice session comes with this class, 90 minutes of question and answer. This first time we'll be doing one on Zoom and one in person later this month, so I hope you join me for one or both of them, and I look forward to talking to you again. Thank you for joining me. And I hope you have a great day.